Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett, and we're going to travel to Tucson. We're heading south from Phoenix. We'll look at a couple of things there, like an old airplane graveyard and Casa Grande, and then we'll head into Tucson. And we'll take a look at a desert museum there, and we'll look at the wildlife that's in the desert, mainly birds and some of the wild animals. So come along, let's head south. We are on the road again, heading south from Phoenix toward Tucson and the Mexican border. We don't need daily electric or sewer services and prefer to hang out on BLM lands. Those are Bureau of Land Management federal lands where the dry camping is practically free. And when I say free, I mean more than just money. More importantly than the money, it is free from other people, from their dogs, their kids, their blaring radios, and their Christmas lights. They seem to feel a need to run 365 days a year, 24 hours a day for 7 days a week. But we also stay occasionally at casinos and state parks. Halfway between Phoenix and Tucson is a tourist attraction called Casa Grande. Casa is Spanish for house, and Grande is big, so it means big house. It is the ruins of a prehistoric large building, but it is only one building, and the parks have covered it to help preserve it. There is not much more than what you see here, but there is a small modern museum at the park headquarters that is worth a stop. At the park headquarters, this elderly indigenous lady was sitting there, so I thought I would get a photo of a real old-time, authentic native person. I had to move around a bit so those yellow tourist boards in front hid her cell phone she was reading. I was so concerned with that, I didn't even see the Coke can in front of her. It just goes to show you that you have to really manipulate a setting if you want to get an authentic-looking photograph. Even the old folks these days look and live in the modern times. This airplane graveyard is a little ways out of Tucson. The dry desert air reduces the rusting rate. In general, airplanes last 25 to 30 years before metal fatigue makes them obsolete. The 4,400 or so airplanes here are salvaged for parts and scrap. The Biosphere, also a ways out of Tucson, is a research facility now owned by the University of Arizona. It was originally built to test living conditions in outer space. It grew plants and looked at interactions of people under such closed conditions. Once a considerable tourist attraction, it is now a more quiet research center for the university, and some students and researchers live out at the structure here. Arizona has been a mining area since pioneer times. The many small tunnel mines that gave rise to the rise and fall to many ghost towns today have been replaced by huge open pit operations. We drove into one such operation. Rockhounds still scour the Arizona countryside searching for gemstones and minerals. There are 400 active full-time mines in the state today. Copper is the main metal, with smaller deposits of zinc, gold, and silver around. Arizona's largest mine is the Morenci mine near Tucson here that employs 3,000 workers. Here we are, Tucson, Arizona. The historic Latino-Hispanic culture is much more apparent here than in the mega city of Phoenix or areas to the north of Phoenix up to the Utah border. While we were in Tucson, we stayed at some BLM lands, but we also stayed a lot of time at the large Casino del Sol resort, which is Casino of the Sun. Casino del Sol has a large parking lot, an RV park, many rooms in its hotel complex, and an excellent pool area. It is a first-class operation where we dined, played games, and took in special events like tryouts for the Wheel of Fortune TV show. And also we took in an Elvis performance contest. The casino is owned and operated by the Pascua Yaqui tribe, whose ancestral lands extend between here and the city of Nogales on the Mexican border. The Yaqui people and other indigenous people of this part of the world have a history of fighting Spain, then Mexico, then the U.S. For over 400 years. I saw this poster and it makes the point. Homeland Security. Now these four guys here are Apache Indians who also live in southern Arizona. And the guy on the right, you might have heard of him. That is Geronimo, who was the last of the chiefs in the battle with the U.S. But you see the point they're making at the bottom of the poster. They have been fighting terrorism since 1492. And of course, 1492 is the date that Christopher Columbus, the first white European, set foot in the new Americas. And from their point of view, they're making the point they've been fighting terrorism ever since the first white man came. Today, of course, the fighting is over and people are now living in peace, and hopefully that will continue in these more modern times. We drove around the Tucson area quite a bit, and we'll show you some pictures there. And we also found a nice brand new cycling trail right in the downtown area as well. Tucson lies in a large open bowl area with higher elevations and mountains in the background. It is home of the saguaro cactus, and the Saguaro National Park is down here. And these huge cacti are everywhere. There is a lot of flat areas where these smaller mountains just seem to jut up into the air. Cycling is also popular down here, as it is almost everywhere else, and we biked some new nice bike pathways in the downtown area. They were very well maintained and just a pleasant, nice bike riding experience in the high desert area. I could not get over how rivers here often meant totally dry, waterless riverbed channels. I would like to show you a big tourist attraction down here called the Desert Museum, just in the south end of Tucson. Now, I've shown you in another travelogue quite a bit about the cactus and the snakes and the Gila monsters and so on. So I won't repeat any of that in this travelogue here. But the Desert Museum is a very big tourist attraction and a nice place to go. Tucson's Desert Museum is a big tourist attraction, and it's just a good place to spend a day. The walking trails are wide, and most are wheelchair accessible. You can also rent motorized scooters to get around in, because it is a pretty big area. If you want to get out into the desert and you can't get to the state parks and more backcountry areas, this is the place to see. The area has about 3 kilometers of trails and gets over 400,000 visitors annually. Each afternoon they release these falcons for a bit of exercise and food treats, and to entertain us tourists. The birds fly back and forth from the guy standing at a higher elevation down to trees where most people are standing to watch the birds. Falcons are birds that kill their prey with their beaks, unlike hawks and eagles who kill their prey with their feet and claws. These falcons are fast flyers with great eyesight. Although these birds are completely loose, they do know where the food is at, and they do not fly away and not return. At the end of their exercise and feed, they are then content to return to their caged homes. These are some doves. These are more birds down in this area, characteristic of the desert. I knew the names of some of them or had seen some flying around, but some like these I had never seen before. Here is another one. The Desert Museum has a hummingbird section. Like the sign says here, the Sonoran Desert has the largest number of hummingbirds than anywhere in the U.S. Now, the Sonoran Desert is a large region ranging from northern Mexico to Palm Springs and from Southern California across to the New Mexico border. Did you know that a hummingbird is the only bird that can fly up or down, sideways or forward, and backward? It is a bird unique to the New World, and they are the smallest bird in the Americas. These little guys fly 40 to 50 kilometers per hour during their 3,000 plus kilometer migration route between Mexico and Canada. Males are usually the first to arrive in the spring. They can dive at top speed of 80 kilometers per hour. In general, they live about an average of 5 years, and they have no sense of smell, but they do hear better than we humans do. If you feed them, they seem to be partial to the color red. Their memory is fantastic. They remember every flower and every feeder from year to year. If you keep your feeders clean and well stocked, these unique birds will remember to come back year after year. Have you ever heard a cougar scream lately? It sounds like your pet cat. These mountain lions, or cougars, I call them by the same name. They range from Alaska to South America. They are capable of a short sprint to catch a deer, for example. But the point is that they have a very small lung capacity for their size and weight, and are therefore not capable of long-distance runs. This guy was having a snooze in the warm sun at the park when I took his photo. They lay in wait and surprise their prey. I guess you could call them really an ambush predator. For example, they will climb a tree and lay on a big tree limb above a deer trail for even days, waiting for deer to come by, and then drop down on an unsuspecting deer as it walks below under the tree. These desert bighorn sheep are social animals who travel in herds. Lifespan is about 10 to 20 years. Recent conservation efforts, like no hunting laws, have enabled their numbers to increase recently. They adapt to dry desert conditions that take them beyond the range of predators like mountain lions. Bighorns survive with little or no permanent water for weeks and even months. by acquiring a lot of water from the grasses that they chew on and from rock pools from rainwater. They can lose a third of their body weight and still survive. Other animals cannot. Also, bighorns recover quickly from dehydration. Coyotes range the desert too. They are extremely adaptable, capable of living in deserts, mountains, lonely prairies, and also in human urban environments. Javelinas are social animals that run and sleep in groups. I talked about them in one of those Texas travelogues when we were in Big Bend National Park, and they would come up to our campsite during the night. They might look like a pig, but they are not. They are not biologically related to pigs, as this kid's storybook says that was in the bookstore here. I noticed another book here that played off the story of the three little pigs that I learned when I was a kid. Okay, every place is an interesting place if you give it a chance. Hope you like the travelogue, and hit the thumbs up button and the subscribe button, and we're going to take a few more runs at this great place called Arizona.